So in this video, we are going to look at some factual based evidence from a non-verbal communication perspective about why Prince Andrew should be very afraid, should be very fearful, fearful, if this trial does indeed go to court. I've had a load of messages today, I'd probably say into the hundreds to be fair, about Bruce, we need to go back to Prince Andrew. Do you still stand by what you said in your initial video? Has anything more come to light? How certain are you that Andrew is either telling the truth or not telling the truth? All right, so it might be the latter one that I'm referring to there. Yeah? Have my opinions changed? Has anything cropped up where I think, you know what, I might have got that wrong? So obviously today we've had the news that Prince Andrew's legal team's appeal to have the case dismissed has failed. All right, so it looks like it's going to go to trial. That poses a number of problems for His Royal Highness Prince Andrew. The biggest one being, there's a high probability, what I'm going to show you today, that because of his body language, his non-verbal communication, the Hulk that started to kick in with the limbic system, and all these non-verbal cues, ticks and tells that he was given off, it would be really unfortunate for Andrew. It would be highly unfavourable, if I can call it that, for His Royal Highness Prince Andrew to go in front of a jury. But that's what we're going to look into in this video, okay? I'm going to further expand on, highlight, zone in, give some more detail about what Andrew was doing at that particular time in that BBC interview. Yeah, the car crash interview. God knows who told him to do that. But actually there was some thinking, some psychological theory behind why they decided to do that. But what I want to do is I want to bring you into this video first, okay? Because I want you to put yourself in the position of Prince Andrew. In one of the videos that I talked about, in fact I only uploaded it yesterday, it was the Boris Johnson one, YouTube censored it. Seems to be people in power YouTube are very sensitive about. Yeah, so I got an email saying they had censored my video. So if you are watching this, please feel free to share the link on Twitter, etc., to try and overcome the maybe skullduggery that's going on at YouTube when it comes into royal or political figures. But yeah, if you are guilty of something, think about a time when you're guilty and you've got that inner voice, that narrative that's going around saying that you're guilty. Your amygdala, your thalamus, your hypothalamus, part of the brain system is more sensitized. Yeah, you're already more sensitized if someone was to ask you a question. It's because you know you are guilty. Yeah, you know you are guilty. So because you're already sensitized to it, it's like your limbic system, especially the amygdala. It's a bit like a radar. Yeah, do-do, do-do, do-do. That's probably not the noise that radar makes, but just roll with the story. Is that it's already on the lookout for a perceived threat. Yeah, for a perceived threat. So let's just say you have taken some, I don't know, for want of a better word, let's bring it into, or an example would be, you've texted somebody, yeah, who is not your partner, in a way that you shouldn't have texted somebody, all right? And then your partner starts asking you, have you been texting anybody inappropriately? Whoa, the lights go on, all right? The alarm bells go off. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, DEFCON 5, yeah? Because you know you've done it. And that's why the limbic system kicks in. You've got the galvanic skin responses. You start perspirating, your mouth goes dry, your heart rate starts to go up, yeah? Because you know you're in the wrong. And that's what we've got here with Prince Andrew. There are so many, so many behavioural clusters, yeah, that are present in such a short space of time. It's just massively interesting for a body language expert like myself to say, hey, have you noticed this? Have you noticed that? And that's why I wish reporters would learn more about body language so they can notice the tells. Reporters are often, and I get it's hard, you know, they've got to keep it moving. They've got to keep that cadence, that momentum moving forward so people are interested in it. But they're so preoccupied with answering or asking the next question that they miss some blindingly obvious non-verbal cues that if they just chose to dig that little bit deeper, oh my, oh Mary, oh Jesus, yeah, you would uncover some nuclear material, some nuclear content. If you could just notice that, don't move forward and just drill right into there to expose what's making them uncomfortable. That's what we're talking about with body language, yeah? I always say it's got two areas. Does someone look comfortable? Does someone look uncomfortable? Vague areas, but generally the majority of the population display similar, all right, similar non-verbal tells if they're comfortable or they're uncomfortable. Yes, there's idiosyncratic as well, but there's also universal, all right? But that's how you see, just if someone looks uncomfortable, stop. Stop. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200, yen, dollars, whatever it may be, whatever currency, whatever part of the world you're living in, all right? Stop there and start to dig that little bit deeper. So what we're going to do here is I want to give you the first bit of body language from Prince Andrew in that car crash BBC interview that I still stand by now, all right? And I will explain the non-verbal communication. So what we've got here is the very first, what I would say, warning sign, hazard lights, etc., that may come on about Prince Andrew's, is there congruence, is there synchrony, is there truthfulness, is there authenticity, everything like this. Is when he starts talking, or sorry, the interviewer, she starts talking about his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. Immediately, you see the eye blocks, boom, 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 boom. A flicker of eye blocks, which is above the emotional baseline that was present before that name was mentioned, Jeffrey Epstein, okay? And as soon as we talk about the T-junction, when something is mentioned, what happens then within 2 seconds? As soon as Jeffrey Epstein's name is mentioned, boom, we get that. Now we know, if you believe in Bruce's channel or you look at the other channels as well, hopefully they've informed you that an eye block, okay, is a physiological response because you want to shut out those images. You want to pretend that they don't exist. You don't want to remember them, okay? It is indubitably, without doubt, a negative-based emotion. And because there's 1, 2, 3, or however many there is, there's more than one, okay, which is why it's above his emotional baseline. We know that that has triggered the limbic system, the Holt's kicked in, the galvanic skin responses, the heart rate. Yeah, all this is, so although he's trying to present himself as really calm, remember the limbic system is the authentic, truthful part of the body. Prefrontal cortex, when we talk about, the prefrontal cortex at the front of the brain, yeah, that's where the lie, when we've had time to think about the lie, but autonomously about the limbic system, boom, it kicks in, that's where we get the tells. Just like when a poker player looks at the cards, what do they do in that moment? And you'll see here, those blinks of the eyes, boom, 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 as soon as Jeffrey Epstein's name is mentioned. And further to that, another behavioural cluster, Boris Johnson done it yesterday. You'll see there's the lick of the lips. Remember, context is key here. What has been talked about and what has he done? With the lick of the lips, you've been there before yourself. Yeah, dry lips, nervous. Throat starts to clam up, as we're going to talk to later on in the video, yeah? But that lick of the lips combined with he's feeling the pressure. He's feeling fearful. What they've tried to do is practice, I do believe, with Prince Andrew. Yeah, they've tried to practice what he's going to say. But it's like practicing your exam or your driving test with your driving instructor. And then as soon as you get in the examiner, there's different pressure. Our internal voice, we see the world differently. There's different triggers, there's different arousal triggers that come in and play that weren't present when we were practicing it. This is what we're seeing with Prince Andrew. But the eye blocks, the lick of the lips, here you go.
All of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. How did you with Jeffrey Epstein? How did you with Jeffrey Epstein? How did you with Jeffrey Epstein? How did you...
Now what we've got here is a lack of congruence, a weird context, like A and B just don't go together. So the interviewer, she's asking, here was Epstein, a convicted paedophile, and you decided to go back out there. That famous photograph where they were having a walk in the park. Again, there's another bit of body language I'll cover soon. And there's a bit of context here where he looks uncomfortable, but it's the words that he uses, all right? Inflection is just a part of the non-verbal communication as well, okay? I'm talking about the words, okay? But how you say a word. It's not just the words that they say, it's how you say it, the emphasis that you put on it. What words within the sentence do you choose to inflect, because that's what you're really meaning. So he's a convicted paedophile, you're a member of the royal family, and he says, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done it, but at the time, I thought it was the honourable thing to do. Now stop. Just try and put these two things together. You've got a convicted paedophile, and then you've went on holiday with him and stayed at his house because it was the honourable thing to do. I would have, and it is just a guess, I need to put my hands up here, all right, that they haven't practiced that answer. That was something that Andrew wasn't prepared for, and he sort of, and we've all done it, waffled away when you don't really have an answer for it, and what come out just didn't link up at all. Convicted paedophile, okay, so I need to honour him. No, that doesn't go, but listen, here it is.
Benefit of all the hindsight that one can have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
Well, this is a really interesting bit. By the way, if you're enjoying the body language analysis, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos, but also give us a thumbs up if you think it's worth it, and also leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your views are. Is there anything that I've missed that you'd like me to comment on? Comment below. Again, it's always helpful for the algorithm. But this one we're looking at here is there's a question posed by the interviewer that really, remember, you can practice stuff, but when you're in a different environment, when that cerebral processing is just functioning in a different way because of the physiological triggers, yeah, they're emotional, the arousal triggers that we're all feeling, you will respond differently. That's why some people are really good sports people, I don't know, on the basketball court in practice, put a crowd of 50,000 people around them, they go to pot, all right? It's the same sport, but in a different environment. It's exactly the same what we're seeing here. And the interviewer says, well, why didn't you come out and say, I'm distancing myself from Jeffrey Epstein, I want nothing to do with him, etc., etc. Then she asked right at the end, was it because he had something on you? Yeah, was there some type of compromise and that's the word, compromise and information. As soon as she says the word compromise, that limbic system fires. That limbic system fires because what happens here is a full lack of congruence, ladies and gentlemen. What we've got is as Andrew is speaking, yeah, as soon as he is bearing in mind, she's asked, was it the connector that he could connect people, because that's what Andrew said, Jeffrey Epstein was a connector, he knew loads of people, a bit of a PR guru, he could introduce me to him and her to her, etc., etc. Was that the appeal? And while he's saying yes, okay, his head's saying no. Boom! It is one of the most obvious lack of congruences. The synchrony is just broken totally there. Try it now at home. Try it. Is my name Bruce? Yes. It just doesn't go. All right, it just doesn't go. So when she's asking about, was it the connector or his ability to connect from person to person, the business relationships that they've discussed, was that the thing? He says yes, but you see his head shaking from, well, what you saying no for? Your limbic system's saying no. If it wasn't the connector abilities of Jeffrey Epstein that you're interested in, what was it of Jeffrey Epstein? Because your body's saying no. Your body's saying it isn't what you're saying it is. So what actually is it, Andrew?
Was that his appeal then? Was that what you... Because you...
Now we get to the famous photograph in the park. Yeah? Now this is really interesting because a lot of people understand body language or perceive body language to be visual, facial. Yeah, did they scratch their face? Did they rub their nose? The Pinocchio moment, etc., etc. Okay, but what we've got here, one of the best positions to take if you're trying to read someone's body language, is when you can see all of their body, and that's what I really like about how this interviewer has set up the positions of herself and Prince Andrew, is that the legs give so much away. The feet, the legs, like from the waist down. Oh my Lord, if you can start looking at people's feet and legs, you will gain such an insight into their mind. Such an insight into the mind. I'll cover that on a different video. But because we can see all of Prince Andrew's body, it's as if like this is the iceberg, but this is below. And what we're doing is we're getting an insight, a treat, if you will, into seeing below the water. Because when he starts talking about being in the park and walking in the park with Jeffrey Epstein, his leg kicks. His leg actually kicks. Now he's talked about loads of things, okay, within this interview. But this is one of the times, and again, it's because it's a fearful moment. He knows the photo kind of incriminates him. It's not a very good thing to do. He's already said he wish he hadn't done it. But what we get is a clear trigger, all right, a clear trigger that Andrew hears this information. His limbic system processes it. The thalamus, the hypothalamus, the amygdala, the pituitary, the adrenal. Boom, you get the adrenaline, and that's what we see. That's why his foot kicks up at that particular moment. Remember that T-junction? That's why the foot goes, because adrenaline comes first to the thighs. That's why people's legs tend to jump up and down when you get nervous or excited. Yeah? And that's what we see with Prince Andrew. He's trying to be calm to give that poker face. But boom, out of his control. Yeah, out of his control, that foot moves when she's talking about Jeffrey Epstein. What is he feeling fearful of? Why did that foot move right at that particular moment there? Yeah, that's when we need to dig that little bit deeper. But what no one can disagree with, not you, not me, not anybody else, okay, is his foot kicks at that particular moment. That's adrenaline, that's the limbic system, that's the Hulk being activated. Have a look.
And we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park.
Again, she re-goes around about, the compromising bit of information. Has he got something on you? Do you not want to, put him out into the rain, so to speak, because he's the one holding your umbrella? And as soon as she mentions the compromising bits of information, as in, has Jeffrey Epstein got something on you? Watch how many times he does the eye blocks. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bam. Again, way above that baseline. Way above that baseline. What doesn't he want to see? What doesn't he want to remember? What is he trying to block out or wish that never happened? That's why we get that negative response. That's why we get that negative response. Yeah, but you'll see is there some compromising information? Bum, the eye blocks, there you go. That's why we know he's feeling negative. There is something there. Boom, there you go.
It happened.
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you?
No.
Do you?
Now this part here, there is two bits where I want to bring your attention to. The first one is called about the steepling of the hands. Now people are trained, politicians are trained, leaders are trained, business leaders are trained, that the steepling is a position of power. I'm calm, I'm in control. That's what we tend to do when the hands are like this, or that is what they believe. Okay, whether you believe it or not, hey, here you go. But that's what we've got. This is the position of power. And Andrew is trying to adopt this position. So when he is asked about Virginia Roberts, I have no recollection of this lady. What I want you to watch, first of all, is the first global sensation. Yeah, you'll understand this. If you get asked a question and you're already fearful or you've already done something wrong, the first thing you'll do is swallow. Yeah, you're getting prepared to tell your lie. It's just so subtle, all right? So subtle. But you will see when Virginia Roberts' name's mentioned, then you see the swallow. Take a look.
One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against, has made allegations against, has made allegations against, has made allegations against.
That is the detailed eye of believing Bruce there. Okay, but now what I want you to do is watch his hands. So he's in that position that is trying, this is what I would like to convey, it is trying to give off the impression that I am in control, I fear nothing, I have no fear answering these questions, okay? But again, the detailed eye of believing Bruce comes into play. Watch what he does with his thumbs. Automatically, autonomously, without any awareness that he's doing it, he starts to push his thumbs down. He goes from the steeple position to pushing feelings down. He wants to push this image away. He wants to push this memory away. He's trying to eradicate, to remove himself from the situation. And you see him do it 2 or 3 times, where he'll physically push, it's a self-soothe, but it's about Virginia Roberts, and he's trying to push this information down to make it disappear. At the T-junction, that's what we get. Have a look.
You. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No, I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
Then what we've got here, okay, the last but one example that I would like to give you, is that when she starts about, would you go in front of a court to give evidence? Watch his head start to say no automatically. He goes to waffle on about, well, if I had to, or if, if push comes to shove, etc. His head is saying, absolutely not. Whilst he's talking about possibly. Again, this is the lack of congruence. I can't make this up, okay? It is there for everybody to view.
You seem utterly convinced you're telling the truth. Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take...
And then the last one here, the Glover sensation. Now, this is important. This is the big one why I think Andrew would fall apart on the stand. Bearing in mind he's already fallen apart in quite a comfortable situation that he has arranged, that is just an interviewer asking some questions, under his own direction. He agreed to this. Imagine him being in a courtroom with the world's media paying attention there. It would be horrible, I believe, for Andrew to be able to be put in that position. But here we get the Glover sensation. The only time in the hour-long interview where he gets the Glover sensation is where he says the word legal. Legal, because as he says the word legal, and again happens in a nanosecond, in absolute nanosecond, he is talking about the trial. She's just primed him. Okay, that limbic system sensitized. He's now maybe thinking that in a voice, imagining, visualizing. Visualization's a powerful tool. He can see himself in the courtroom. And as he goes to see the word legal, something triggers in his brain that actually makes the throat tighten up in an instant. The ultimate, or one of the ultimate fear behavioural observations that we've got is our throat tightens up and we can't get our words out. It's a bit like when we're really upset, when you are crying, if you've ever lost a loved one, or you're really hurt, emotionally wounded. You can't talk because your throat is so tight. It also happens when you're fearful. So something has occurred when Andrew tries to say the word legal, which is interesting, because I do believe he can see himself in a courtroom. He can see himself, it all goes wrong. The legal process, because when he says the actual word legal, this is where we get the Glover sensation. Remember, context is key here. So you'll hear him talking, and then as he comes to get the word legal, the Glover sensation tightens up. There's definitely a fear factor there. There's definitely adrenaline running there. It's a negative association. He tries to then laugh it off as a cough, or to sort of brush it off to be more accurate as a cough. But there's definitely a Glover sensation. Andrew is fearful of the legal process, without shadow of a doubt.
Do that sort of thing, but if push came to shove, and the legal.
So when you put all that together, there is just too many examples, too many cracks, too many holes that things are peering through that should not be there to say Andrew has definitely not done anything wrong. There's just too many, there's just too many. So when you bring them all together, it would be highly, highly damaging for Andrew, I believe, to go in front of a jury and to try and give evidence when he's already fallen apart and give so many negative non-verbal communication, but also the words that he's used as well. He just can't handle the pressure. Some of us can, some of us can't. Some people like tea, some people like coffee, all right? But if he can't handle the pressure of one person interviewing him, his legal team need to do anything they can to try and keep him out of a courtroom. Because if I had to, Bruce, do you think he's done this or not? You would have to err, because on the evidence that we've got, because we can't lie, we've got to be fair and balanced, but we're commenting on what he has done and what he hasn't done. Has it lined up? Has it not lined up? You would have to say absolutely there is something there or some things there that he doesn't want anybody to know. Biology doesn't lie. So hope you've liked this video. Please, again, I'm coming back in 2022. Feel free to share it just in case I get censored again. I don't know whether I'm being too accurate or, you know, being too direct and forceful with high-flying figures. But feel free to share the link on Twitter or other social media platforms. You can also follow me on Instagram at BelieveInBruce. Please subscribe if you're interested in any type of body language or anything to do with the head and the heart to help you be the best version of you. But more important than any of this, believe in Bruce. Please remember to be kind to yourselves and each other.